Successful language learners are engaged in a core few habits, and it's these habits that allow them to go from language to language and have success. It's the complete antithesis of this stupid app, Duolingo, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because they don't care whether or not you learn the language. They need your attention, and that's it. It's so important for you to understand the core habits, the core things that are allowing language learners, the ones that are successful, to do what they do. The reason for this is that because once you can recognize what it is that's making you have success, what we have established, because there is the myth out there that we don't quite understand what's working, and that's not true. The very first of these, if we get straight into it, is your ability to repeat information. This is with input and output. It means the ability for you to stay on the same subject, one that is going to allow you to build up a competence, a core competence. Once you have this competence, you will feel confident around speaking this thing. If you've never spoken about, even in your native tongue, what it takes to do the engineering behind a rocket ship, you are not going to be comfortable. It doesn't matter. All right, you have no understanding of this, and there's a whole host of things that you need to know in order to speak about that first, and you're never going to be comfortable. Well, in language learning, if we keep it all sporadic, while all trying to do all these things, you never build up a core competence. And what happens is that you get into different conversations. You think you can't talk about anything, right? Everybody understands, oh, greetings at the first part. Well, what happens after you say hi? When you say hi, how are you? If you don't understand what they say back to you and you start to talk about the game or the thing and all the other stuff, you think you can't speak the language. You don't think that you can retain information enough, and you don't think that you're good at language learning, and all of that could possibly be false. The first thing to understand is that comprehensible input is going to save you and help you, but it generally gets misrepresented. There's an understanding that that's all you have to do, and to a certain degree, it can really push you far along, but there's some other things on top of that that you can add. Comprehensible input meaning that you understand the context of the situation, the video, the book, the thing that you're reading, that you understand 80 to 90% depending on the platform that you're using, all right? So if you're going to be reading, you need to make sure that you understand a whole lot. There's a lot of big research behind that. Paul Nation is one of the most leading researchers on this, so nearly 98% is what he recommends when you're reading something. When you're dealing with video, podcasts, things like this, that number can drop down. Generally, you understand the subject, you can kind of see things like this. All right. And a lot of the reason for that is because when you're reading, you have an ability to, like we said, one of the most important things is to repeat. You repeat these words. You see these words all the time, and boom, 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 boom. But there's nothing visual. There's nothing there for you to gain anything else out of context, which is why you can drop the amount that you have to understand when you're watching a video, right? Because someone can point that way or smile so you know they're happy, or be sad, or whatever. Then you have other contextual clues. Those clues are going to allow you to communicate, all right? And so for the majority of you, what we talk about this stuff here, we're trying to get you, and we're talking specifically to two learners right now. And I'm guessing that you fit into one of these two key categories, which is one, you're a beginner. You've never really learned a language. You don't really know where to start. You don't know what to do. And you've dabbled here, there, and the other, but you've never been successful. Then there's the other people who have been somewhat successful to a certain degree, but can't quite maintain this to anything. They start, they go, what we call basically in our artificial immersion program, this yo-yo language learning, where it's just like yo-yo dieting. You start, you stop, you start, you stop. You never really get anywhere, all right? And so that is amongst the worst things that you can do. And so one of the first things we do in our program, these first 7 days, we get you to eliminate all the bad habits, because those are the things that are holding you back. We get you to understand the hierarchy of competence, all right? And so I'm not going to go too deep in that. Of course, link is right down below if you want to get into any of that other stuff. We have tons of free concepts and tons of free things that you can check out before even getting close to having to pay for a program and all this stuff. And I would just, small plug here, those of you that are learning some of these very, very popular languages, from Spanish, French, Italian, I don't know, Danish, Russian, German, Chinese, English, potentially, some of you watching this, we have a starter pack. We have starter packs for these things. They are all coming out right now, okay? So if that is up, link is right down below. If not, maybe there's even a teaser pack and stuff like that you guys can check out. Some of the first parts of it, just click the link down below. We're getting that stuff out, and if you want to be amongst the people who test this, this is why we made this channel also as well. Now, once you can get and understand hierarchy of competence, you understand that there are stages to the way that you learn. And if there are stages to the way that you learn, then there are things that you need to do within language learning in order to make sure that you can progress to the next stage. All right. And so when you're in language learning, you don't understand, as a very beginner, you don't know what you don't know. All right. You don't understand why this, the feminine, masculine, the noun, the neuter noun, like you don't care. It doesn't matter. You can memorize one phrase, you can understand hello, and you can regurgitate that. All right. Things start to change as you continue to go forward. And one of the most important things, and I might make an entire video on this, but just to give you guys a bit of the secret sauce here, is that you have to worry about your input and you have to worry about your output. All right. But the way that we do this, specifically in our program, is a bit unique. And the reason for that is because you cannot spend all of your time only doing input and only doing it at a level where they talk like this, because you're a beginner English speaker. And this is Little Red Riding Hood, right? You can only do that for so long. All right. But one of the things that you can do, because you need to spend your time doing that, is that on the opposite end, say when you're not spending time trying to actually, these are my 30 minutes a day that I'm going to learn, this is my hour a day, which is another reason to stay away from the stupid app because time is precious, is that when you're focusing on these contextual clues from comprehensible input, that's great. But that is going to sound way different from what you're going to hear on the street. All right. So people are going to talk fast. They're going to slur their words. They're going to mumble. They're going to use slang and all these things. Well, you have to build this base, but at the same time, up here, all right, you have to make sure that you're starting to get your mind and your ear around understanding that that's how they see it, right? In English, we don't say, I am going to the store. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go to the store. All that stuff you are never going to hear in your textbooks and all that. Duolingo doesn't give a shit about that. They don't care whether or not you figure that out, right? And that accounts for a whole lot of you feeling like, I don't speak the language, I don't understand, because you have to build a space, but at the same time, we make sure that you understand, okay? So these two things are gonna be pulling each other towards them, all right? At a certain point, as you've got this, I can't understand it all, and this stuff is too basic, as long as you make sure that you're getting a whole host of this, say 70, 80, up to 90% basically of your time doing this at the beginning, 10% here, at a certain point, you switch, right? Anybody who's ever been successful at language learning understands that they eventually switch. It's no different than when you get a kid who's watching cartoons and little things like this. They can eventually, okay, boom, all right, I understand. I can watch big movies. This is a pattern. We know that this happens. We know when this happens, all right? And if you don't know that, you don't plan for this, you just stick around here. It makes no sense, all right? And so the other aspect that you need to understand, and basically I'll just cut off the video here because I'm going to be making more videos on this and stuff like that, is that you have to match your output. All right. There are some language learners out there that love for you to be speaking from the very beginning and all this stuff and do that. And to a certain degree, they're right. A lot of anxiety and fear because of modern society and because we've decided to sell our souls to the electronics. We have stage fright and we don't want to talk. And so it definitely needs to happen. However, you need to be able to produce what it is that you're learning. And the way that we teach you to do this is to make sure that what you are filling your head with, we need you to be able to convey that, right? And so if you're just looking at a simple Feynman's tactic for learning, all right, your ability to explain this in a simple term to a 5-year-old, all right, you would know that if you cannot explain something to someone, you don't know it. You having and building that ability for you at the very beginning to understand all that context, understand all the comprehensible input, understand the simple story, and then to convey that to a friend, to somebody who is a speaker, a tutor, any of that stuff, it is priceless, all right? Those are going to be your first wins, and that's the way you need to set that up. You notice that this has nothing to do with what you're going to be learning on Duolingo. You notice that we're not caring about grammar here in this. I'll do that in another video. They don't match up. Both of these things can't be the same, and this cannot be a supplement, Duolingo, over here, for what you're doing over here if it doesn't even engage you in any of this. It doesn't do anything. Enjoy the other videos. All right, I'm going to cut it here just because I want to make another video. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Links are down below, by the way.